Good evening. Let us discuss about today's, that is, the 1st June 2015 newspaper over here. The first thing is, the Prime Minister Modi is going to visit Israel. So it is significant in its own sense for various reasons. The first thing is, since 1992, when we have established the diplomatic relations with Israel, till now no Prime Minister has visited the Israel. During P.V. Narasimha Rao era, we have established these relations with Israel. Till then, our relations got dilly-dallied, fearing of repercussions in the Arab world. From then, they are always in a progressive path. And 2009, for a while, Israel even replaced Russia as the single largest supplier of the arms to India. And added to that, more crop per drop. So that is what is the basis for the drip irrigation which we borrowed from Israel. And one more thing is, so on the secret or not in open, many of the discussions and meetings are held between Israeli high-level delegations and India. So in this context, in 1985, the Rajiv Gandhi has met the Israeli Prime Minister in New York. So and next is Mr. L.K. Advani visited Israel, and in the last February, the Defense Minister of Israel, Moshe Elon, so he has visited India. So now, on the sidelines of UN General Assembly, Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, met Israeli counterpart, and there is a famous statement which was made over there that is called as "Sky is the limit for our relations." So that shows the potential of the relations with Israel. But the major problem with Indo-Israel relations is this. They are becoming regime-specific in India. The Congress is not interested to engage directly with Israel or else directly talk about its relations with Israel. On the other hand, BJP, it is openly talking about the relations with Israel. If you can see, after Advani, recently, the Rajnath Singh also went to Israel. And more cooperation is sought on various matters against terrorism. So, the Israel is also a victim of extremism and terrorism, and India is also the same. Generally, whenever these Islamic extremists, they talk about countries, so they keep US, India and Israel on the same line. So, on the defense cooperation, now recently there are certain agreements also signed. The Barak 1 missile agreement, and next is we are buying Spike anti-tank missiles from Israel, and we even replaced the United States Javelin to take up the Israeli Spike missiles. So it means the relations are very strong with the Israel, but we are not openly talking about these relations. And most of the relations are in the defense sector and also on agriculture and high-end technologies. We are depending on the Israel. And the next is, e-visa is not a concession. So what is this all about? So the China was giving stapled visas to the people of Jammu and Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh. A stapled visa signifies that territory is under dispute. So as China has territorial claims over Arunachal Pradesh and certain parts of Kashmir, and also Pakistan has certain claims over the Kashmir. So China recognizing China taking cognizance of that, it was started giving the stapled visas to the people. India linked this issue of stapled visas for offering of the e-visas to the Chinese nationals. But not offering the e-visas actually was hurting the India's business interests. The flow of investments from China, the flow increase in tourism from China, all these are not happening because of the lack of this free movement of the people. So in this context, Prime Minister Modi offered the e-visas, and it was criticized by the Congress as a concession given to China. But however, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has clarified that it is not a concession. It is only a liberal visa given for 30 days after proper verification. So after proper verification, the visa will be given for 30 days. So this is what she talked about. Now during the UPA itself, China stopped giving stapled visas to the Jammu and Kashmir people, but now still it is continuing with Arunachal Pradesh. And one more irritant with China is this. In the UN Security Council, we wanted to declare Hizbul Mujahideen chief Syed Salahuddin as a global terrorist. But China on technical hold, it's keeping a technical hold on declaring him as a global terrorist. So this is one thing irritant which is coming up in the newspaper recently. And the next is, so there are series of articles from Suhasini either many other diplomats about India's engagement with Pakistan. So what that article says is, the India still is confused in its engagement with Pakistan. There is no clarity on engagement because of this. As lack of government to government engagement, it is finally leading for the other elements to speculate, gossips, etc. on the various issues. As there are no official clarifications on various issues which are coming up. For example, the National Security Advisor's statement on Pakistan, Defense Minister's statement with regard to the terrorism, they are very wrongly interpreted by the newspapers in Pakistan. But Government of India had no official route or channel where it can express its stand. So in these circumstances, the criticism is about dilly-dallying on engagement with Pakistan. The External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has clarified that our engagement with Pakistan is based on three core principles. The first principle is the engagement shall be in a peaceful manner, or all issues will be discussed in a peaceful manner. And the second thing is the engagement will be only bilateral without any involvement of a third party. And no talks will be held when environment is not free of terror. So creation of a conducive environment free of terror, these are the three conditions for India to talk. So in this case, the misadventure is one. Recently, Hurriyat Conference was called for a meeting, or Pakistani High Commissioner met the leaders of the Hurriyat Conference. So this is one thing which did not go well with the Indian establishment. And the second thing is the terror on terror. So especially Mr. Zakiur Rahman Lakwi, who was accused in the Mumbai terror case of 26/11, he was released in Pakistan. So that's why India's the position was very clear, and Pakistan is not up to standing up to this position. That's why the engagement is not getting delayed. That's what is the India's explanation is. And next is the Telangana state. 1 year happened after its creation. So in this case, certain observations are made here. The first thing is, issue of Telangana is majorly the movement was stood on basis of development. So the intra-state developmental disparities, how they are leading to sub-regional movements, the understanding of Telangana movement provides us for that. So in this case, the domination and subordination of certain people of a region to some other region as perceived by the people, that is the major reason for these sub-regional movements. Now in this context, what the author says is, now the aspirations of Telangana have to be realized. So the movement of Telangana is all about social justice and equality. So in this context, even today, the present governments of Telangana, they have to strive to achieve this social justice and equality. So they shall not merely depend on identity politics, strive on identity politics. And one more beautiful point is been given by Sri Krishna Committee. What it said is that the Telangana movement is a desire for democracy and empowerment within a political unit. So the democratic expression of voice of the Telangana people and empowerment of these people so that they can develop on their own and creation of opportunities, all these things are the root cause of the Telangana movement. In this case, Professor Kodandaram has said this particular statement. Sub-regionalism not necessarily be a primordial thing or a retrogressive thing. It can be essentially a modern direction. So, if you observe the balanced and equitable modernization, it can be achieved through the sub-region. Repeat the Kodandaram statement. Sub-regionalism not necessarily be primordial. but is essentially modern in the directions of balanced and equitable modernization. So it means generally we see sub-regionalism or localism, etc., as a retrogressive steps. But what he argues is it is need not be a retrogressive or primordial. It can be a modern too. So it's a modern, modern fight. So in the direction of something called as balanced and equitable modernization. So these are the things we need to understand. Again, this Shiv Vishwanathan article, and I hate doing this article, this is a pain. So, but however, I want to talk about the essence of this article. The language is worst, and it's mostly a flowery language, and we don't want the common man to understand this. So don't focus, remove this as a, this thing. But however, I'll try to give you some valid points over here. The first what he says is, the left has totally lost its public space. The reason being a blind adherence to an ideology. So because of this, it got itself distanced from alternative movements in the country. For example, environmental movements, the left is not very active. It confined itself only to the trade union movements. And justice movements in the country, the left is not very active. And added to that, if you talk about transparency and accountability movements related to right to information, everywhere where the alternative movements are developing, left is not very much participating. Because of this, this space is occupied by the rightists. So in this context, what he says is, we need to bring in a creative thinking in the leftist ideology, and we have to bring in alternative politics and politics of justice. Generally, left fights the justice at the macro level. So, and it sees the justice as a derived outcome out of the fight between the proletariat and the bourgeois. So, in this context, the alternative movements, they are concentrating at the justice at micro level. So, the left parties have to reorient to themselves towards macro and micro justice. So this is what is necessary for the revival of the left, according to Mr. Shiv Vishwanathan. And one rank, one pension scheme. So what it is, any officer who retired at a particular rank with a certain service in the defense forces, they shall be given equal pension. For example, if a person served in 1945, retired in 1950, or someone retired in 1960, when they retired at the same rank with a similar years of service in the defense forces, they have to be provided with similar pensions. So the people retired early, now they get very little pension compared to the people who are retiring now. So this is one of the BJP's plank. The erstwhile UPA government, it has completed this preliminary understanding or preliminary and principal clearances are been given, and it has spent 500 crores onto this. The BJP, which has promised on this, did not make the things move forward. So in this context, the country has to take forward this particular issue. At least this is what the thing we can pay for our defense forces who keeps their life before anything else for the country. Next is, as speculated, Teesta is not going to be the part of India-Bangladesh deal during the Prime Minister's visit. And next is, recently in IIT Madras, a group called Ambedkar Periyar Study Circle. So this particular association was de-recognized. The reason was, it is spreading anti-Brahminical rhetoric, and the second thing is, and right-wing politics, against the right-wing politics, especially the policies of the Modi government. So in this context, we can see this as two ways. One is politics, the second one is it is as a hatred against the communities, or we can see it as a fight against conservatism. So if it is politics, as per the policy of IITs, no politics are allowed inside the campuses. But the APSC, Ambedkar Periyar Study Circle, is not related to any political party, not affiliated to that. Now if you have to see it as a hate speech, understand that anti-Brahmanical rhetoric, it's very strong from the very basics of the Dravidian politics. And finally, as a fight against conservatism, so then understand, yes, the strengthening or asserting of the weaker sections and scheduled castes, then the de-recognizing is a retrogressive step. So in this context, understand, if we see it as a fight against conservatism, against the established beliefs, then it comes under, or very much protected under, freedom of speech and freedom of association in this country. If we see it as a hatred, it means we are seeing it as a enmity between the communities, spread of enmity between the communities. If you see history of Tamil Nadu, we cannot come to this particular judgment. So finally, the good conclusion is this: the right freedom of speech, freedom of association, and academic excellence, they go together. So in that case, so the fight among the institutions against this can be encouraged. But if you ask me my personal opinion, till now politics have spoiled every institution and every system in the country, because the politics are not played in national interest but based on parochial interests and based on primordial considerations. Better these premier institutions kept away from these politics. So this is what is the newspaper. Thank you very much and good night.